the key is saying yes to everything and seizing opportunities life gives you.
Right, like ISB.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
I get a call and they say, would you like to come teach in India? And I could have said, well, tell me more. And what does this mean? And who will it be for? And no, I said, yes. I mean, without even thinking, I said, absolutely, this sounds like a great idea.
Howdy everyone, welcome all to this very first episode of Beyond the Books for Class of 21. Today we have a very special guest with you. We have the most adorable, the most caring and the most passionate professor that we have met in our MBA journey till now, Professor Mary Lea McAnally. Now, we won't be going over her credentials because we already know her enough. And we all know that she is super great, that probably credentials could not do enough justice to her. So just to give you a quick refresher on her, she is born and brought up in Canada. She did her education, higher education from United States. And now she's been teaching in Texas for past 20 years. She's a visiting professor at ISB for the past 10 years as well. She is a veteran in the field of research in accounting. So without wasting any more time, let's welcome the woman of the year, Professor Mary Lea McAnally. Professor, can you please switch on your video? And with her, Tanya Shahi from our class of 21.
Howdy, Professor. It's so good to see you again. Professor, you're on mute. So if you can...
Well, he didn't tell me to unmute. He only said unmute video, and I'm trying to keep all the rules, you see.
Okay. So thank you so much, Professor, for taking our time today and coming here to chat with us. You're all really, really excited, and we hope you are as well.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited. My only sadness is that my screen isn't big enough to see all the faces. It's so lovely to see some of you guys, and I want to scroll through and just see everybody.
We'll do that. We'll do that at the end of the
Okay,
session.
okay. Good to see you at least, Tanya.
Thank you, Professor. Okay, I know you all are really eager to get started with a live, candid conversation with the prof. But before that, before we begin, as promised, we have a little surprise for you all. And it's just a little something to help us all get more connected with the prof on a personal level. So let's head to Texas and say hi to her. So yeah, here we go.
Hey Mom, what you doing?
Working.
Good morning. That sound is the sound of my coffee, waking me up. It's 6:30 and I'm gonna go for my morning walk. I usually walk about 5 to 6 kilometers in the morning. I start early because it gets hot in Texas at this time of year, so gotta go early. This is what you saw when I was teaching. It's actually a bedroom. It's my daughter's bedroom that we repurposed for me to teach. I set up a table here with my computer screens, but I really took over her bedroom. We pushed her bed over into the wall and moved a couple chairs around to make room for me to teach. It's her bedroom. Up there's a little loft where she used to sleep, and she could get outside. There's a door here, goes outside, and there's the view. Now it's the end of the workday. It's time to sit right here in silence with my beloved husband for half an hour. Remind me to tell you about the roosters. In my prayer room, I have some sacred objects. Some wonderful Indian elephants. Wonderful things to remind me of what's important. I'm cooking stir-fry veggies and lots of yummy stuff. It's going to turn into peanut noodles.
What was the lockdown?
Peanut noodles, huh? We're having a movie night. My sister, my number 3 son, my husband, and my very athletic niece. Did I tell you why? Okay, so we've just wrapped his arm in ice, and I'm putting a scarf around it because he has huge wasp bites and his arm is swelling up. This is called medical mothering, mothering medical. It's the end of the day. We're doing the dishes. It's been such a great day. I'm in love. I have a great life. I am so blessed. I'm grateful. Good night.
Professor, thank you so much for sharing snippets of a day in your life with us. What a beautiful house. Loved that beautiful artifact collection. And before we go forward, I think all of us are really curious to know more about those roosters. So can you get started with that?
Sure. So there's an old tale about a guy who wants to meet the guru. And so he climbs all the way up the mountains and he's just so excited to sit in silence with the guru. And he gets up there and the guru says, yes, let us sit, let us meditate. And he sits there and the whole time there's these roosters, bark, 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 the whole time in the background. And finally, at the end of this wonderful meditation, he says, but I didn't enjoy it so much with all the roosters. And the guru says, there will always be roosters. And so it's just a reminder that you can find peace and happiness no matter what's going on. And so when I told my dad that story, he carved me that rooster. So my dad is a woodworker and he's a very gifted artist. And throughout my house, there's many examples of his artistry. And that rooster sits in my bedroom, and twice a day, I remember that there will always be roosters.
What a beautiful story, Professor. It really tells out to, filter all that background noise and focus on what is really important in life. So that brings me to my first question. You have been teaching for so long and you have been around students for so long, and I'm sure that stirs up some memories from your own college days. So are there any anecdotes from your student life that you'd like to share with us?
Well, first of all, you say I've been around students so long. Are you saying I'm really old?
No, Professor, not at all.
I'm
Always young at
teasing
heart.
you. I'm teasing you, of course. I have always loved being in school. Ever since I was a little girl, my mom tells me a story of when I was 4. I would take my sister who was 2 and I'd put her in a chair and I'd say, I'm the teacher, you must listen to me. So ever since I've been little, I've loved being in school. I will say that my college years were probably nothing like yours. So I got married very young. I got married at 19. And so when I was in my second year of college, I was married. And when I was in my third year, I got pregnant. And when I was in my fourth year, I had my first baby. So I never really had what I would think of as a typical college experience. I was a married woman with children while I went to college. So when I see you guys, what stirs up for me is the friendships that I really didn't make any good friends in college because I had my family. So when I see that, I think this is lovely for them. It's a different path than I took. And there's no remorse or jealousy or regret. It's just, this is a different path. I love seeing you interact. And I have to say, that's one of the things I did miss this time. Not being on campus was not seeing you just hang out and eat samosas at 4:30 and all those little things, those little vignettes of your life together. I miss that, I have to say. But we got what we got, right? There's always be roosters.
That's so true, Professor. And I hope that we'll get to meet each other soon once things become normal. And we are really looking forward to meet you in person as well. So, Professor, my next question to you is that we have many young women here today who are going to be business leaders in future. And we would really like to know some tips from you on how to manage your career and your family and how to balance out both.
Well, I don't know that balance is the verb I would use. I would use the verb compose, how to compose a life that you want to live. And the other thing I would say is I think that it's important when you're thinking of composing anything to make it be like a masala, that it has to be a mix that works. And so composing a masala life for me means looking to where the energy is. So I never think about managing my time. I think about managing my energy. I don't think about balancing my day. I think about balancing the energy. And what I mean by that is I think about myself in sort of three centers. I think I have intellectual energy, and I have emotional energy, and then I have physical energy. And so to compose a masala life means to have energy coming from all of those sources in a way that fits me. So what might fit me might not fit you. And so I never give advice. I never, because I don't think I know enough about the person to be able to tell them anything of use. But what I would say is listening to my energy, watching where I spend my time and my energy is really important. I'm a morning person. I love getting up in the morning. And so it's best for me to be as productive as I can be and use that intellectual energy in the morning. And then at the end of the day, when I'm feeling less physical energy, then I can be responsive to that need to sit in silence at the end of the day. So I guess the thing I would say about balance is that you can have it all, just not all at the same time, right? So I had children very young, and now in my later years, I'm 60 and my kids are all grown and gone. And so I have more private and free time now, but that I never had in college. So everyone's different. Balancing, I think if you think about balancing, it sounds like a lot of work, but to compose something sounds more restful and contemplative. So that's what I would say. The other thing about career and women, I would say, is that I think we underestimate as women the importance of two things. One is the importance of allies, that much of the power in this world is held by men, and that we women need to get them on side. That if we're going to make big changes in equity of pay, of power, of position, we need to have allies, and we need to have strong representation from the other side. Half of the people in the world are men. Let's work together to get this world to be a little bit more equitable. And the other thing I think we underestimate is that we don't need to do it the way it's always been done. So one of my kids sent me a text yesterday, and it said, take a look at the pictures of these, take a look at this list of 5 or 8 countries with the lowest COVID issues. And now take a list of the countries of the highest COVID problems. And what's the difference between these 2 countries? The 8 countries at the bottom are all headed by women. Thailand, New Zealand, Finland, Denmark, Norway.
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
We don't have to do it the old way. We can do it our way. So empowering ourselves and finding allies, that's what I would say, the things I would give as thoughts for us women.
Professor, those are like some really great words, and like, finding allies, and that you can have everything, but not at the same time, probably. So I think all of us should keep this in mind going forward. And I think these are great words of wisdom that will help everybody in the future and not just women.
Of course.
Yeah. So, Professor, my next question to you is, how do you navigate through uncertainties? So do you consider yourself to be a meticulous planner, or do you prefer living in the moment?
You'd be surprised at the answer, because I'm an accountant. Everyone thinks I'm good with numbers and planning and spreadsheets, and I am, but that's not where I draw my energy. I am completely unplanned. My favorite word is yes. I say yes to everything, and that has led me to such amazing things. So I never planned to move to the United States, for example. I just got an opportunity. Someone said, let's go, and I said yes. I never planned to, even do a PhD. Nothing was ever planned for me, and that's not good advice to students. I hate when that question. Don't hate. I worry that I say something that some students are going to say, well, I don't need to plan. I have very rarely planned, and my life has turned out perfect. So that's me. But yeah, that's all I'll say about that. I just go with the moment and live, and whatever comes, it just is good. This is good, and the next thing is good. And what I gave up, who knows? Why worry about that?
The key is saying yes to everything and seizing opportunities life gives you.
Right, like ISB.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
I get a call, and they say, would you like to come teach in India? And I could have said, well, tell me more. And what does this mean? And who will it be for? And no, I said, yes. I mean, without even thinking, I just said, absolutely. This sounds like a great idea.
So
now,
Professor, I think we are lucky there that you said yes. So it worked in our favor.
It worked more in my favor. I love this place. I love you guys.
We love you too, Professor. Thank you so much for your candid answers. I'll hand over to Nipun for the next set of questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor.
Yes. So, yes,
Nipun,
Professor.
do you have a shirt on with a collar?
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
man.
serious. Look at you. Oh my
Oh.
gosh. You know what we say? You know what we say in Texas? We say, you clean up good.
Thanks a lot, Professor. Yeah, so you're talking about saying yes, and I think that is the one thing that I noticed in the last 2 weeks also. The first time we approached you, you immediately said yes. You came on the call, we asked you so many things, you said yes to everything. And I think people will see today uh, how candid we can be with you, and you're so okay with everything. That's just amazing. So we'll get to that part. But moving on to the next question. So I think the primary reason why students are intimidated by accounting is debits and credits. But here you were with the magical FSCT template. So what was the inspiration behind the idea and how it came to life?
Every time a student asks a question when I'm at ISB, I go to the board and I write A equals L plus E. I always do that. It's a framework, and it's a simple framework that works. So that's my natural go-to, and I think most accounts. So first of all, I did not invent FSCT. We call it that, but it's been around for a long time. Every professor does this. What we did is we just actually gave it a name. And so I think that many of you who have studied accounts, you know this. When you ask a question, the prof will go to the board and write A equals L plus E, and then just give it that framework. But I think that, I don't know who it was, maybe it was Einstein who said, it's important to get to the simplicity that lies on the other side of the complexity. In other words, if you can distill something complex down to 3 columns, you really understand it. And that's why I put you guys into breakout rooms, because if you can explain it to one another, you understand it even better. You know, there's nothing more, garbled talking is an indication of garbled thinking. If you can't explain it to someone clearly, you don't understand it clearly. And so that's really the impetus. That's really a touchstone of my way of teaching, to get to the simplicity that lies on the other side of the complexity. And I think that tool really does it.
Yes, I think it definitely worked, and the breakout rooms, the polls, I think that is what excited us the most. Even like having your lecture at 8 o'clock in the morning, I think it's so refreshing. And after that, going into those breakout rooms was really, really nice. So that was a great answer, Professor. Moving on to the next question. So this is on a personal note. What is the most adrenaline pumping thing you have ever done?
Oh gosh. I do a lot of adrenaline pumping things. I put myself into harm's way a lot. When I say yes, you never know what's going to come. So I'm always kind of open. I think one time I thought I might die, and that was I was skydiving, and I'm just newly married. I'm 19 years old, and my husband says, let's go skydiving. And so we learned how to go skydiving, and on my 6th jump, a very big wind picked me up, and I only weighed, 55 kilos. And so this wind was pushing me, and it pushed me into, so when you jump in Canada, you have to jump on the naval, not the naval base, the military base. It's not open like here in the States. In Canada, you must jump in the military base. But anyway, this wind pushed me into this area of concrete structures, and it smashed me up against the side of a structure and slid me down the structure, and I lost consciousness. And when I woke up, 2 huge guard dogs were in my face. And I think that at that moment, I thought, if I'm not dead, these dogs are going to eat me. So I think that was probably one of the scariest things I've ever done. And that was my 6th jump. And I had promised my parents that if I ever got hurt, I wouldn't jump again. And I've never jumped since. So I jumped 6 times.
That was scary, but then I'm relieved that you're still here. And like I've done it only once. So now I'm a little more scared by that answer, but I won't stop, definitely. So thanks a lot for that answer, Professor. Moving on to the next question. So this is a little bit on the practicality of the subject that you teach. So do you believe that the platform businesses are creating valuation out of thin air, or they are worthy of their valuations? And how healthy or sustainable is this model?
Okay, so some of you understand valuation and some don't. So I'm just may I just give 1 minute explanation of what valuation is, Nipun? Okay,
Sure.
so valuation is trying to decide what something's worth today. And to do that, you have to imagine what kind of benefit, cash flow you're going to get in the future. And so with that process, there's huge amount of uncertainty, right? Because you have to predict how much cash flow will be, when we're going to get it, and what the ranges are, how much risk there's involved with the cash flow. And so with these platform businesses, it's so new, we don't know how to make predictions. And so some of the valuations, of course, are going to be too big because people are getting over optimistic. Some of the valuations might be too low because people are gun shy. So, with anything, with everything that's emerging, we're going to learn, and people are going to refine their valuation models, and we'll just get on. I think one thing I would say though, as budding business leaders, and you guys going out and being leaders, is that it used to be the case that we were focused primarily on profit. I mean, in finance, you'll learn that shareholder value is the number one thing you must do, and I really push back on that. I really push back, and especially with millennials and with the next generation. You guys are more driven by what I might call the quadruple bottom line, not just profit, but people, purpose, and profit. And I think that in doing any valuation, back to your question, Nipun, doing any valuation, thinking about what is the purpose of this item, this new technology, thinking about the people involved, thinking about whether or not it's good for the planet, that I think will help make better valuations, because you care about that. Customers are caring more and more about that. And so there's going to be value created by focusing on more than just profit.
Yes, that is very true. And I think there are so many platforms now, and as you said, it is very important to go beyond that profit criteria. So I think the valuations may be overvalued, undervalued, but they will find their right value. And till the time consumers or even people who are buying those stocks are happy with it, I think it makes sense. That's perfectly all right. So the last question for this section is, any advice on how to take the learnings from classroom back to our workplaces?
Well, I think that everyone's going to take different learning, right? So some people are going to come back to school to learn technical things. Some of you have come back to learn more leadership, interpersonal things. Some of you have come back to change your orientation from engineering to marketing or whatever. So it's going to be different for every person. But I think the biggest takeaway, especially with you guys online, is relationships are super important. That creating relationships and maintaining relationships is what makes for a healthy career. And the thing about relationships is that when you need them, it's too late to be creating them. You need to be building your interpersonal skills and your relationships with others before you have to call on people. So building your network, making it real, not just meeting with people for the sake of adding another person on your LinkedIn, but to really get to know what this person is about, what gifts they bring to the world, and how you can be in relationship with them. I think that's the most important thing about coming to business school. Yeah, you'll stuff your head full of everything, but don't forget that what's in your heart, the relationships, is what's going to matter more to you in the long run. So I don't like giving advice, as I said before, but I think I would say focus on understanding the goodness and the gifts that everyone brings, so that, in the future, if you need to put a team together, you can say, oh yeah, that Nipun guy, I remember him. He cleaned up real good. We can put him in front and he can be our pitch man.
I think that was the perfect answer. And I think everyone here agrees that this is the first thing that we've learned at ISB during those orientation weeks. And even after that, we've seen, like, we are trying to build relationships in the virtual world. But whatever we do here, I think the first time we meet each other on campus, it's going to be a very special day, because we have done so much interaction online, and it'll be great to meet in person now and know the other person so much well in at campus, hopefully very soon. But
I would love to be able to watch that day. I would just love to be a bird just flying around and watching you all get together. That would bring such joy to my heart.
we'll definitely try to capture that for you, Professor.
Good. So this brings us to the section of live Q&A, where we have invited personal questions from the participants. So you will be surprised to know that in the participant list, we have people from class of 20, class of 21, the previous batch that you taught, and Rashad and Sakshi.
Oh,
So,
hi Rashad. Hi Sakshi.
so these people will ask you question. The first person that we have is Abhiru. Abhiru, can we ask you to switch on your mic and if possible, switch on your video as well?
Hi. I don't have any personal questions, but I did have a slightly boring accounting question.
Okay.
It was sort of a part B to the question on valuing platform businesses and digital businesses. One of our readings, why financial statements don't work for digital companies, suggested that balance sheets were inadequate way to value digital companies. I've similarly heard that maybe discounted cash flows are not the best way to do it as well. Would you suggest some new metrics or new models that would be worth looking into?
Well, you want to think about what non-financial metric would drive the value of the platform. In other words, if you owned it, what would you find of value? And then trying to quantify that and come up with a valuation. I think big data and data analytics is going to be a better way to value some of the platforms and some of the digital businesses, because as you know, they don't have financial metrics, especially early on. Nonetheless, if it's the case that they never have any cash flow, then the value is zero, right? Because it has to, somehow you have to monetize it at some point. So I would think about thinking creatively about the metrics that are really driving value, using big data to gather those metrics and analyze them. And, you know, in the end, it's a little bit of a crapshoot with some of these platforms, isn't it?
Yeah.
Happy to.
Could you perhaps tell us some research that we could look at? Any papers or writers or?
I think that Anup Srivastava gave you a list of some of the papers that he referenced. I would probably start there. If you look at his paper on intangibles and look at his reference list, there's probably some good papers in there.
Great. Thank you so much.
Did you know that he was my doctoral student? I was his supervisor.
No, I didn't know that.
Thank you, Abiru. So that was a great question. So the next person that we have is Harsh. Harsh, can you please switch on your mic and ask your question?
Howdy, Professor.
Hello, Harsh.
My question is, would you like to share with us a funny memory or a story from your initial ISB days owing to, cultural differences?
Sure. So it was my very first year at ISB, and one of the other profs said they wanted to go see a movie. So we took a car to see the movie, and I don't remember what it was. I think it was like Star Wars or something like that. But anyway, I was so surprised because the movie theater, I thought I was going to go to some Indian experience. It was just like America, jam-packed, eat popcorn, get soda. A little bit disappointing, but it was fun. But anyway, I got a really big soda and popcorn, and we ate it. And after we were about to go back in the car, I said to him, I'm going to go use the ladies' room. So I went into the ladies' room, and as you can imagine, there's a little bit of a queue, and so I'm waiting in line, and I get up now, and now there's 3 doors on the right and 3 doors on the left, and I'm waiting, and I'm the next one in line, and a door opens, and I go in, and a woman comes from behind me, and she pushes ahead and just goes in. I say, okay, that's fine. She must have had more need than I. Maybe she had 2 sodas. So I wait, and another door opens, and I step forward, and another person comes around me and cuts in the line. And I'm thinking, what don't I understand about this? I mean, I'm looking around, what isn't it the next person who should go into the next stall? Isn't this the way it goes? Apparently not. So I'm getting a little bit upset because I have a need, and also my friend is waiting outside. So I say to myself, next time a door opens, no matter what, you were going in there because it's your turn. But still again, a third woman cuts in front of me. So now I'm thinking, okay, what must I do? I'm not going to wet my pants. And so I say, okay, no matter what happens this time, Mary Lea, you must. Okay, so a door opens and I step toward it with great conviction, and a person comes past me and I turn on her and I go, nay, nay, with this mean face in my finger, nay, nay, nay. And it's this little girl, she's about 10 years old, and her face is like so sad. And then I'm so embarrassed that I just go in the door and slam the door. So that was a cultural experience at that movie that I think it traumatized me a little bit. So there you have it.
It was really funny, and
That was extremely relatable, Professor, I would say.
I still don't know what the protocol is. I still am baffled by that. But anyway, that's my story.
Professor, you need to box out. Whenever you head to the washroom, you need to box out. Yeah.
I think I did that on that poor little girl.
I think, yeah. But it's okay. It's okay. She'll understand when she grows up. Yeah. But before we end this session, we have a very special gift for you. So we could not provide you this gift hamper for the quick rapid fire that you did. We could not provide you the coffee that the last year's SIG could provide you. But this year we have a certain sweet video for you that is made by Himani Joshi from our class of 21. So should I request Shreya, can you please play that video? So, Professor, thank you so much for joining in today and some parting words that you would want to tell us.
This is just term one. This was the easy term. Now that your finals are over, get back to work. Oh, look at you, sweethearts. Look at you, funny kids. Oh my gosh. Oh, great. How wonderful. You just still look the same. You don't even look any older. Oh, your faces. I'm so happy to see your faces. Oh, that's great. Let me put my glasses on. I can see you better. Oh, thank you so much for coming. This was an absolutely pleasant way to start my day. Now my son's good news next door. I don't know. It can't get any better.
I hope we all made your day, Professor. And thank you all for joining in. And
thank
officially,
you, everybody.
The session ends here. But if you have any questions for the professor, so we'll be taking up more live Q&A. So if anybody has any questions, they can raise their hand or just shoot your questions. It's okay.
Professor, you taught us how to balance the balance sheets on paper. Maybe can you give us 2 cents as to how to balance the balance sheet of life, maybe?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that focusing on what gives you energy and what purpose you have. So energy is how you create anything. You can create energy physically, intellectually, and when you give money, money is just green energy. Money is just a way to capture energy. So that's why I think energy is so important, understanding what gives you energy, that is purpose. And then I think it's your duty on this earth to give energy back. And so that's the balance. What flows in, all the things that have been given to you, to balance, you must flow them back out. And what happens is when there's a blockage, when energy gets stopped, whether it's money or physical energy, then that's when unhealthy things happen. And so just think about that. By the fact that you're at ISB means that you're very, very, very fortunate, right? So 200 of you in Mohali, 2,000 people wanted to come, maybe more. You got to come. You're already in a position of great privilege. And so with privilege comes responsibility. So you need to balance that inflow that you have received, all the talent, the training, all of the time that your teachers have put into you in the past. It's time now for you to learn more and then to go out and to do, to give back, to keep that flow going. Whether it's your time, your talent, your passion, your business acumen, your green energy, flow. Let it flow. That's what I would say. That's probably not the answer he wanted, but that's the answer. That's the answer he got.
Thank you, bro.
And I will see you again sometime. All the best. And remember, this is exactly the way it's supposed to be. Everything is happening in the only way it can, and this is all good. It's all good.
100%.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks
Thank
again.
you,
This was so
Professor.
pleasant. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Professor.
Bye-bye. Thank
Thank you
you.
everyone for joining in.
Thank you for all your work, guys. Thank you, team.